This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Tom Paladino. Hi, Tom. How are you? Oh, I can't hear you.
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
So, Tom, I'm so excited to meet you. We have many mutual friends. We were talking about Sheila Gale when my computer decided to do something funny. But what you've been doing this work with Scalar Energy, and as a pioneer for 30 years at least that I know of, 20 years that I know of.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about your quest for knowledge for this, because I think eventually everyone will know what you know, but you started out with like a hunger for it.
It is a quest for knowledge. I studied Tesla, Nikola Tesla, as a youngster, and that was 50 years ago. And in so doing, I learned a great deal from Tesla and a few scientists who perfected scalar energy instruments. So what am I mentioning? Well, we don't work with electricity. It's a different energy. It's not of the electromagnetic spectrum. So this is a new energy, so to speak. It's a new technology. And you have to develop instruments to control this spectrum of energy, scalar energy. It's also known as zero-point energy or longitudinal waves or chi or prana. But it's not electricity. So it's a new branch of physics.
And so do you feel that people are now accepting it a lot more and are embracing it?
Okay. Kathy, it's a people movement. It's all about grassroots.
Perfect.
And this is what I've recognized throughout history. If there is a groundswell of support, if the people promote something, if they want something, it will come to pass. So it really boils down to you have to work from the bottom up, so to speak. And you have to have that foundation. And by that, I mean with the people, and then it will percolate throughout society. But you need a grassroots movement.
Well, so do you feel that the challenges that our bodies are having right now, we've got 5G, we've got these viruses that we don't know if they're man-made or naturally present. Do you feel that we're being bombarded with more stuff now than we were 100 years ago when Tesla was trying to do his free energy? I'm a big Tesla fan too. When he was trying to do his big free energy work, it was a different time. It was so much more peaceful of a time than we have right now.
Yeah. Mankind's being assaulted now. If you just look at how many chemicals have been manufactured, there's over 100,000 chemicals. And we don't understand what those chemicals are doing to people or animals or for that matter, for plant life. So we are being assaulted. This is an assault on our personhood, and you have to take it very seriously. And we need answers. We need answers.
Yes,
I have some of those answers.
So the answers that you have found is that a lot of these, the body's a brilliant machine, and the body just needs a little bit of help every once in a while to run like a smooth machine, right?
Right. Correct. And so what I've developed are scalar energy instruments that I work by way of photographs. And I want to make this very clear to the audience. People email me photographs, and I actually place an emailed photograph inside my instrument. So I work with the quantum field, with the energy field. I don't work with people or animals. I work with their, if you will, their force field or their aura or their quantum field. And I'm having great success. There is a quantum field. It is a scalar energy quantum field. I always work by way of photographs, and we can improve quantum health significantly. We have a great track record to improve quantum health.
I'm so excited. So, and you've been so generous with what you offer too, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But how is Scalar and your vision of this different than audio? Like on Tuesday, I got to interview Andy and Jonathan Goldman, who are sound frequency people,
Yes.
and it's also in the unseen realm, these other frequencies that help, they enhance our lives and our vitality.
Yes.
So how is Scalar different than sound frequency?
Sure. So if what we're describing with these two gentlemen, if that's electromagnetic energy, and if it's proven to be beneficial, great. There is sound healing. There are frequencies that will produce a benefits to people and animals. Keep in mind, I don't work with electromagnetic energy. It's hard to just understand that there are two dimensions, that there are two realities, that there are two energies. And my preference is to work with the dimension of scalar energy, in which per se there's no frequency. It's all intelligence, and that intelligence pervades the universe. So many people think, and I do, that this is a divine energy. That's what I've tapped into, the divine energy of God. And in so doing, I have access to that intelligence. It's an information field. And in so doing, you can do anything in that information field, anything.
Well, so when you say anything, is this like a manifestation tool as well?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yay!
it is.
So,
Yes. Yeah, and I always caution the audience. I tell everybody when I speak on any podcast, everybody's a scalar energy expert. Everybody has experience with scalar light, scalar energy. The human mind and the heart are scalar energy vessels, meaning the way we think, the way we feel is a scalar energy emanation or a scalar energy expression. So this is not a foreign topic. Everybody's an expert at scalar energy. We just don't realize that we have that expertise. So again, to underscore, the human mind, the human heart are scalar energy vessels. What I have done is I've taken, so to speak, this mind power and I've put it in an instrument. I can control it with an instrument. And it's rather a technical process, but what people do naturally by way of their mind or their heart, I can do now with scientific instrumentation. So I think another term would be consciousness. My instrument captures or controls consciousness, which is the intelligence of the universe. That's a profound thought.
yes.
And if this is the doorway to consciousness, my goodness, this is an entirely new technology that will change the world.
Well, so I got to look at a lot of the wonderful videos and the testimonials that you have on your website. And I want people to realize that there's a lot of science to this. This isn't just energy healing, which I'm highly sensitive, so I do feel other frequencies, and like Reiki can push energy, and qigong, all of those kinds of energies. But what you're offering, you could actually help millions and millions of people all at the same time, because you're using, is it photonic energy from their photo? Is
that's a good point. That's a good point. So let me make this clear. I can either work with one photograph at a time, or a collage, or a million photographs at a time. Today in my laboratory, I work with probably 300,000 people by way of their photograph.
Wow.
So now keep in mind, this is not a local event. This is non-local, meaning I can work with anybody in the world by way of their photograph, because I access their force field on a photograph. Every photograph of a person has a force field or intelligence, and I access that intelligence. So this is, I've said it always, will be a game changer. This will be a new technology that will change the way we live. That's the point of my research, to help people. Technology should help people. It should not harm people. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a Christian. So I want to get this technology out there to the general public. So
I understand. And again, the thing that's so hard for people to understand is all of the unseen aspects of ourselves. I mean, when we talk about consciousness, this is conscious business zone. This is people that want to expand and create the new earth with love. And the thing is, you have to feel good. You have to have vital force energy in order to be a conscious business owner, because you're giving so much of yourself to your clients and so much of yourself to your employees. And this could be a fortification process to help you fulfill your mission. And can you do those collages? Can you do groups of people? Like you could do your whole company?
yes, of course, of
Okay.
course. We're working with missionaries around the world. Sometimes people will send us a collage of 100, 200 people from an HIV/AIDS clinic.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we have some Christian missionaries in Africa that send us photographs of practically an entire village.
Yes.
So these instruments could easily work with 2-3 million photographs a day. So consider what I'm saying. This is a new technology. If this is the first time you've ever heard of this technique, I understand. I invented this technique.
Right.
I don't know if anybody else who has these instruments or is applying the technique that I am. So this is groundbreaking.
I think what's I found is a lot of people use the term scalar.
Yeah.
And they're mostly talking about a delivery system, but they're not really talking about they're talking more electrical than they are photonic.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say is I was on your site and I saw that, or on your YouTube channel, and that you had met with Constantine. Or have you?
I've never met Constantine Mel, but I admire him because he is one of the few valid scalar energy researchers today.
Well, I actually got to meet him.
Oh,
I
really?
was at a sound healing event at my friend Kimba Arum's house, and he had the GRD machine, which she had. A lot of my clients use the GRD
I see.
information as proof that they've changed state for customers. So, but what he had that was bizarre, it looked like a little Sputnik. It was a round silver solid bar, and then it had very sharp. I was shocked because I grabbed it, and it was like needles on it, and it was using it as antennas, like a little Sputnik is what I could say, on a stand. And what he did is he was calibrating with the machine. He was calibrating the incongruence of the room when she started her music healing, and then by the end to see how aligned we were. And so it was fascinating that there was a visible way to measure the group dynamic. And are you finding that you can measure the group dynamic too?
I have a way of measuring, but I would not consider it to be objective. There's a way with my instrument. The problem I have with scalar energy, it's all pervading. It's really the omnipresence of God. So there's not a basic unit. So what am I getting at? When you measure something, you have a finite unit or a finite measurement, such as an inch or a meter or a gallon. If scalar energy is all pervading, there is no basic unit of measurement. So it's hard to say that there's a basic unit of measurement of scalar energy. There isn't. It's omnipresent. So you can ascertain the before and after results. So this is really what distinguishes scalar energy research. It's an entirely different way of thinking, because in the electromagnetic spectrum, everything is finite. Right. In the scalar spectrum, everything is infinite. So these are two different concepts that you have to embrace.
So that makes total sense that science wants to measure and have repeatable processes that get the same outcome in order to call it science. Yes. And what you're doing is quantum. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily work on the 3D.
Exactly. And that's a stumbling block with so many people. in academia today. They want to be able to quantify this. Well, you can't. I don't know of any scientist who's ever been able to measure scalar energy. And a lot of people in academia want to attribute the principles of scalar to that of electromagnetic. No, they're two different theories. They're two different applications. So it really is a new science once again, and you have to be patient and you have to learn. You cannot confuse it with electricity or magnetism.
I understand. I think I understand. I I understand it works. I understand that it makes sense that it's part of the fundamental aspects of creation here,
Yes. Yeah.
and that you're able to direct positive energy that helps break up herpes and helps with
Yes.
people that have chronic diseases, psoriasis, all
Yeah.
sorts of chronic.
Let me address that. And I'm going to make this very clear. Everything I do by way of light. So there's no human interpretation. So I'm going to hold up a photograph of the herpes virus.
Oh, great. Okay.
I would actually place this photograph of the herpes virus inside the scalar energy instrument. And the instrument would look at the code or the force field on the photograph.
Okay.
And then send that force field into me or another person. So we're taking a force field of a microbe and we're sending it to a person or an animal. And the result is that force field will cause the virus to break apart. So I use photographs of microbes to identify a microbe and then to subsequently break apart that microbe.
So it's a two-step process.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So that's where it took so long to figure out how to use this.
Yes.
Because you could identify the chronic disease, but and have it pattern.
Yes.
But the pattern interrupt took a while to do.
Very good. The pattern interrupt. So when these instruments were first developed with Tesla, there was not an electron microscope that could photograph the herpes virus. Today there is.
Right.
So there were early models of scalar energy instruments that had dials. I don't use dials because that's subjective. That's human interpretation. Right. Instead, I use a photograph of a microbe. And this information on the herpes virus is perfect. It's a definition of herpes by way of light, by a photograph. Okay. And in so doing, that photograph serves as the informational input, the instruction to break apart herpes. So whatever photograph of a microbe you have, then you could be assured that you can break apart that microbe.
Okay.
So the key is you have to have the right information. A photograph of a microbe, a germ, is the correct information to break apart, to transmute that microbe or that germ.
Well, 3 or 4 years ago, I was part of a group that put together annual meetings called Evolve Expo. And there were machines after machine. One of the last ones we did, there were machines. There's so many Tesla-like machines out now. And there's also the idea that we're going to have med beds. So there's a lot of people thinking technology is our path to health. Yeah. But do you see these working hand in hand with what you're doing, or do you see?
Why not? Why not? As long as they're effective and safe. Is it real? Are they effective? Are these actual instruments that can control nature to some extent? Great. And if so, by controlling nature, is it safe? If you can say both, yes, you can say yes to both questions, then sure, why not?
Yes. Well, I think that people are this 2-year period of us seeing so much confusion and so much difficulty in understanding how to proceed. There's been so many different cures and a lot of criticism. There's so much polarity going on with people, where this seems like it's so focused in the divine. You can almost feel the energy, Tom, that you're offering is from source.
It is from God. It is from source. Now, let me make this very clear. When I work with energy is fundamental. It's primal.
Right.
And nothing supersedes energy. So it's the king of nature, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
So if I have a scalar energy instrument, I have dominion, I have control, so to speak, over the herpes virus. I mean that. I can control the molecular structure of the herpes virus and break it apart. You can only make that statement if you're working with energy, with light, which is fundamental. Now, not to cause any ill feelings here, but chemicals, pharmaceutical products are not fundamental.
Right.
Drugs are not fundamental.
Right.
So a drug will not have a fundamental control over the herpes virus. Light, scalar light, will allow me to have fundamental control and to break down the molecular structure of the herpes virus. What am I saying? I have control, dominion over the herpes virus.
That's fantastic. So there's I've heard of other people maybe 30 years ago that were doing I don't know that it was scalar, but they had a system like yours where you paid them a yearly fee and they put your whole family in I think it was called Sanctuary back then.
Yes.
I don't know if they're still around at all, but you've gone so much further because you've really zeroed in on things that you can do. You've really seen success. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the success?
Yeah, and to prelude that, I'm all about results. I'm a researcher and I want results. If I don't have results, I won't even mention it. I have failures. I won't waste your time.
Yeah.
So what are my success stories? I can photograph microbes and break them apart. Okay. So recently we had, just 2 months ago, we had a report from Tanzania. People from Tanzania a few years back had HIV. They provided their photographs to me. Again, we only work with photographs with a force field. Now, I just received a report from these people in Tanzania from this HIV clinic. Nobody has HIV anymore. Nobody.
Fantastic.
And all of these people attest to the fact that they're living a normal life. They're no longer on meds. And their HIV tests are negative, no viral load. Now, some of these people had HIV for 20, 30 years. Today, not one of them is HIV positive. They're healthy. So those are the results that I want to share with the audience. I'm all about results. This is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. These are results that I'm having from around the world. So the future is very bright. And once the world catches on to this, that we now have mastery over microbes, we can have dominion over microbes, germs. What does that mean to mankind? It's a step forward. It's an enhancement of our lives.
Well, the other thing that I was really fascinated with on your site is that you have figured out a way to enhance the properties of food.
Yes.
And that I'm very interested in that. I'm vegetarian/vegan. And so I'm very interested in seeing how do we put life force energy basically back in our bodies so that our bodies can actually utilize it. Because that's what you're talking about is using chemicals or synthetics are never going to do the same as whole foods.
Exactly. You have to go with God's nature. If we have a body that's will work and function with plant chemicals, then stick with plant chemicals, natural plant chemicals. So that gave me the afflatus to start this natural foods program, in which I take photographs of natural foods and I project that energy into a person or an animal. So I'll never work with synthetics. I'll never work with man-made chemicals, but I will work with God's herbs and fruits and vegetables and grains. And we've had great success with this program, natural foods.
That's so cool. So are you, so this isn't a opportunity to create another vitamin line of food. This is you figuring out how to create a vital human.
Yes, I'm going back to nature. I don't want to reinvent God's creation. I'm going back to nature, and I'm not going to contradict God. I'm going to work hand in hand with God, and that's why I'm successful. If you look at any research, and if it succeeds, you've copied creation, and you've copied creation perfectly or closely. If you fail, it's because you're not following nature. You went against nature. It's that simple. So my instrument works hand in hand with God's energy, scalar light, and then I work with God's fruits, vegetables, herbs, grains, etc. And I project those natural foods into the force field of people and animals. It's a win-win.
Yes,
It always works. Why? Because it's fundamental energy. Fundamental energy has a guaranteed outcome. If you control light, you control nature. I control scalar light. I can control the outcome.
Wow. And are you finding that with this past 2 years, the changes that you're seeing in your people, are you finding that you're getting more and more people to try the 15-day free trial, and then they keep going because their vitality is increased so high?
Yeah, we give away 15 days of free sessions to everybody in the world. Why? We want to introduce this. This is a new technique. I want to introduce this to people. And then by word of mouth, we're all grassroots. By word of mouth, this is, if you will, percolating throughout society. It is starting to amount a really sizable following now because it works. And people they want something that works, that will improve their health.
Right. And it also seems like it's more grounded in something you understand. That's been the other part of it. There really isn't a high, you're at 0 point. You're not at contrast of this works, this doesn't work. You're at 0 point. So that alone, that peacefulness and that loving compassion, that's the world we want to create.
Right. Thank you. The one thing I've noticed about scalar energy, it does not have negative consequences as opposed to electricity in many cases. So when you're working with scalar energy, it is a benign, health benefiting energy. It's only salubrious. It's always proven to be salubrious. And with that in mind, we've avoided the negative consequences. So it's such a win-win for society. People are catching on.
That's so great. So the other thing I wanted you to know is my daughter was in Africa for 3 years with the Peace Corps, and she was in Namibia. And one of her projects was goats. So when I went to your website and I saw the baby goats and everything, I was like, oh, I've got to show this to my daughter.
I'll speak about that. Our group, the Scalar group, and my wife is included, we donate goats to Africa.
Yeah.
And then we treat those goats by way of their photograph. And the goats are very healthy. And accordingly, the goats have baby goats. So we really see an exponential increase of goats because we're treating those goats and keeping those goats healthy and free from disease.
That's right. That's right. What you're seeing also is the natural flow of life. Yes. That's the thing. When people live so close to the earth, and they aren't buying exotic foods at the grocery store. They're growing or storing a lot of the food they've already grown. Yes. It's a whole different rhythm in their system. They're a lot happier. They see life in a much more loving way because this is Mother Earth. This is our frequencies, and our light is similar to the planet. So that's what you're basically helping us recalibrate back.
Yes, thank you. We're going back to nature. It's so important. People might think that's a cliche. Well, if you do, so be it. But when you work in harmony with nature, everything works. If you looked at society's biggest mistakes, it's when we work against nature. It's against the natural law. There are natural laws, and when you oppose those natural laws, you're going to suffer from it. You will inherit problems. Right. You will see the disadvantage of going against nature. You can work hand in hand with nature. It's so much easier. It always works. Why would you abandon something that always works?
Well, I'm saying that, and I hope you agree, but I don't know if you will, that we are going out of the Dark Ages and going back into the Renaissance. And this Renaissance is reconnecting with indigenous knowing, back into the earth, back into source, God, however, your personal relationship with that source, and then enhancing that in prayer, in any way that you can. And what you're offering is a direct upliftment to that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well spoken. Well spoken. So those of you who are purists, those of you who want to get back to nature, this is it. You cannot be more intimate with nature than the fundamental life force energy, scalar energy. Electricity is a derivative, a subset of scalar energy. The perfect energy, the primal force, is scalar energy. Electricity and magnetism are secondary, if you will, derivative, or if you will, substandard type of energy that is the result of a broken scalar wave, so to speak. So the initial primary energy of the universe is scalar energy. Stick with scalar energy.
Okay, so I'm going to ask about scalar as far as the wave form, because the wave is just up and down, just like any wave. And then there's a baseline. Do you find that that's where you had to learn how to tweak it to get the diameter of it?
Scalar energy is a double helix. It looks,
it is.
It is identical to our DNA in ratio and proportion. So if you look at a scalar wave, there's a major groove and a minor groove. The major groove is 1.618 times the size of the minor groove, meaning what? That's the phi ratio, 1.618. So a scalar wave is a double helix. It's a phi spiral. And the double helix of scalar energy creates the double helix of DNA.
I see. And then do you also think that we're the junk DNA is actual other strands of DNA that are going to be integrated soon?
It's pertinent. It's a part of the information system that we don't understand. So frankly, I wish we had never given it the name junk DNA.
Right.
Because if something is embodied with scalar energy, it's part of the infinite information field.
Yep.
You cannot, if it's something scalar energy, it's part of the matrix or part of the holographic universe. And there's nothing inferior, there's no junk in the scalar force field. So if there is junk DNA, we should change that nomenclature. Everything is sublime and everything is divine in the scalar energy force field, including the junk DNA.
So, okay, thank you. That I believe that. In fact, I don't know how I know the things I know, but that I definitely believe that that's part of our evolution right now. The upgrade is that more of those unseen parts will be the pieces of the puzzle are going to all will be more aware and more able to use the other dimensional awarenesses that we can't necessarily right this second. A lot of sensitives can.
Right.
So Tom, how do you see your system working to multiply it? I mean, you're one guy, your wife works with you, you have a beautiful doggy. But I mean, how can you multiply this so that you could actually, because there's 8 billion people on this planet.
That's a good point. So how are we going to tackle this program? Well, most of the people in the world we're going to treat for free. We have photo uploaders that will allow us to upload millions of photographs a day. Again, we can upload a collage like this of 20 people or 200 people or 2,000 people. So that's a good point. How do I make this universal healing? Well, by and large, I have to make this free for everybody in the world. And that's where we're moving towards. Wow. Now, in order to get there, I'm going to need some funding because I'm not a wealthy man. So we need people to help us along the way. But we have to take this in increments. But yes, we can. My goal is to treat at least 1 billion people a year by way of their photograph. That's one of my goals. And that's not far-fetched because we've already worldwide treated at least 100 million people worldwide by way of their photograph. Wow. So how do we get this out there? By a grassroots movement, by podcasts like this. Thank you so much. It has to be from the people. It has to be a groundswell of support. To be blunt with you, there are many governments, institutions, universities, think tanks that I don't trust. I'm trying to keep money, greed, and power out of this healing ministry. Right. Why? Because that would be our downfall. And this is why at the present moment, I protect it. I don't want this to be besmirched by a corrupt government, a corrupt corporation, a corrupt think tank, a corrupt university, corrupt people. Right. So there are many, many good people out there. And the people are carrying this global healing ministry, and the people will continue to do so. Without the people, we would have nothing. So I don't depend upon government or big business. I depend upon God and the people, and God and the people have seen us through thus far.
Yes, well, I do think this is the wave of the future, and in my little world, I think it's been here on the earth before, and now it's time for it to be brought back full force. And actually, these opportunities that we've had the past 2 years, which I know so many people are so sick of all of this, but we actually have taken a pause, had a chance to look at our own mortality, had a chance to look at our conscious choices and decide to be in a more loving, caring world where there's more equality. Right now, if you look at statistics, the statistics of inequity, like what you're doing in Africa, it's not sustainable.
Thank you so much. Let me address that. That's one of the problems we have in society is scarcity. Any economic model, you have to factor in scarcity. What's my point? Scalar energies from the stars, from our sun of our solar system, the stars. There's no scarcity. This is free energy. Free energy will liberate mankind. I don't agree with the economic model, in which it's elitism and only the few benefit, and the greater majority of people in the world suffer or are under the thumb of these industrialists or under the thumb of these oligarchs. That's not freedom to me.
No,
that's tyranny. This monopoly has to be broken,
right? And
God will break this energy monopoly. Scalar energy is free energy. That's where we're going. The stars are going to power the world. So we're going to work on star power.
That's perfect. So have you ever gone to any of the Tesla Tech events or any of those kind of shows? Do you have any interest in that?
I don't right now because I'm so immersed in my work. That's not to disparage their efforts. I'm just too busy.
I understand.
That's the best way for me to say it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So I used to have every other Wednesday for 3 years, I had a group meet at my office with a guy named G.W. Harding, and he was following Keshe. Are you familiar with Keshe?
A little bit. Go on.
Okay. And what he did is that we were using a Merkaba device, a spinning Merkaba, motorized Merkaba device, and it was delivering. It was a delivery system. He was calling that Scalar, and they were delivering frequencies that he was. I don't know. We were like guinea pigs, I think, a little bit with this, and some of them felt really good, and some of them didn't for me. But anyway. He was following Keshe when this was, I think, 2018, and Keshe had actually offered a $800 kit for creating a free energy device that would fit on your house, that could run your whole house. And of course, the U.S. didn't want us to have it, so it could be. And the countries had to sign some sort of peace treaty to do it. Are you familiar with any of this?
It sounds like what Tesla envisioned. Tesla discovered Scalar Energy, he wanted to give it to the world.
Right.
But he did not want to give it to just one country. So he had a few countries in mind, and he wanted it to be used for peaceful means and to liberate the people. But I tell you that the one world order is nefarious. They don't want this technology.
Right.
This technology eliminates, or at least greatly reduces the concept of scarcity. So when you have scarcity, you can create a monopoly.
That's right.
And that's what we have in this world. We have great scarcity, and we have even greater monopolies that control that scarcity.
Right.
So what did Tesla envision? What do I envision? Scalar energy is from the stars. It's free energy. It will break apart, destroy the monopolies.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So let's talk a little bit more about your free 15-day free regimen that you offer. I signed up, and I wish I would have signed up last week.
Yeah.
But anyway, could you so I am showing it on the screen for everyone. It's scalarlight.com, and it's so simple.
Right.
It's so easy the way you've got it set up.
Yeah.
You want to share about it?
Yeah, the key is the people, once again, will make a judgment. So you're going to email us your photograph. Again, the website is scalarlight.com. Just your face. All I need is a bus shot. And in so doing, we will work with you for 15 days, free of charge now. We'll balance your 7 chakras. We will eliminate, we'll break apart, we'll, if you will, disassemble the microbes. And then we can also create or assemble nutrients. So balance your brain waves and your chakras. We will eradicate germs, microbes, and we'll assemble, transmute nutrients, micronutrients, all natural nutrients. And in so doing, after 15 days of those processes, those 3 techniques, the greater majority of people say that they feel an enhancement, some improvement in their health. And again, all you have to do, visit our website, and you'll see the 15-day free trial. Yes. Upload your photograph. You can send your family, entire family. If you have a dog or cat, and include them. And then you judge. After the 15 days of free sessions, you judge the merit of these quantum sessions. Again, it's effectuated by way of the force field on your photograph. This is the new science where we can access your force field on your photograph.
So the American Indians, they said when Curtis and some of the photographers, when photography first started in the late 1800s, a lot of the American Indians did not want their picture taken because they knew that there was some part of their essence that was captured. And so what you've done is taken that knowledge and used it. Thank you.
Exactly. Every photograph has a person's essence. This is my photograph, and it captures my essence. It captures my force field or my signal. Call it what you will. Every photograph is a duplicate of that person, animal, plant, or object. Okay. My photograph is alive with scalar energy. That's the new science. And once academia realizes the photograph is alive with scalar energy, then we're going to make some progress.
So I do have a question from someone. They said, are there any side effects of the program?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. No. Why? We're not working with chemicals. You have deleterious side effects with chemicals, with drugs, with surgery. This is information. Everything I'm working with is non-physical. It's light. There's no downside. There's no negative side effect.
So what do most people do after the 15-day? Do you have a lot of people that continue on and then focus on a specific chronic?
We do. A lot of people see the merit of this, and it depends as to do they really want to commit to this type of quantum health regimen. We have an entry level program. It's $89 a month. And most people can afford that. So we've reduced our prices, and we're trying to get this information out there to the world, making it as easy and as inexpensive as possible. So to answer your question, the majority of people feel better. And many of those people then go on and they'll try a session or two throughout the year. A lot of people will sign up for 30 days or 60 days, drop off, then come back later in the year, sign up for 30 or 60 days. And that's a testimony to the fact that people feel better. So to answer your question, after the 15 days, we leave it up to the people, but most people come back and they'll pay for a session.
That's the proof. That's the proof.
It is. The proof's in the pudding.
Yes. Well, and I also watched, as I said earlier, I watched quite a few of the testimonials, and people were talking about eczema. They were talking about herpes. They were talking about other things, chronic situations that they had tried everything. And your process was the only thing that worked.
Yeah. Keep in mind, we have consummate control over scalar energy. So we can balance those chakras in the brain waves. We can break apart a virus easily, painlessly. This some days this will be embraced by the world.
Well, I'm glad I discovered it because of I have been virus free up until a week ago. And this is something that anybody that's starting to feel something come on, please go sign up. It's easy as pie to put your name and your email in there and upload your picture, and no reason to suffer with this fever and the fear. It's so much of what we're experiencing is a fear virus more than anything.
Yeah. In retrospect, we're going to look back on these past 2 years and we're going to say we did some things properly and we did some things poorly. And I think the hype, the media hype has not served anybody well.
Right.
We should have had the facts, not the hype. Feared hype doesn't help anybody.
No. The other thing is that I think that this, and you and I talked before we came on, I really feel that this period of time has been an inner game. It's been a time for us. Originally, at the very beginning of all this, we had this fear of death. We had this secret, invisible enemy. And people had to come to terms with, okay, am I ready to go? Have I done what I wanted to? Have I been the love that I intended? And what I love about what you're doing, Tom, is that I really think that what we're coming to now is this way to have, get rid of discordant energy. Yeah. The energy that's been in our world has not been in alignment with God's plan, with who we really are. And so what you're offering is a reset back to that. And then once you can experience it and know it again, then you can use it.
Yeah. You're right. Once we realize the mistakes we've made in the past 2 years, we will look for new solutions. Scalar energy is one of those new solutions.
Right.
And it'll take time. It's a rather, if you will, unique process that I've developed, but it works. Look at our website, thousands of testimonies. The proof's in the pudding.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And I want to make sure that people understand that there is a 15-day free trial, no obligation. Right away, you'll feel something by doing it. There's some sort of click that clicks on as soon as you do it. And I just want to thank you, Tom, so much. And thank you for your tenacity, because, I know, I knew about this work with you years ago, and you've just refined it and made it better and better. So thank you so much.
You have to have that focus, and you're right. And when the day comes when people will have my focus, then many people will enjoy this, and we'll have other researchers. You touched upon this briefly. It takes a career. You have to be able to devote yourself to this. Right. So I'm introducing this new science. Hopefully there'll be researchers to follow.
I'm sure there will be, because the proof is self-evident, and the old way, the mechanicalistic view of the universe versus the organic view, it's pretty obvious we're on the cycle back to nature, into what works.
Bravo. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Okay, anything else that you'd like to share? I'm just enjoying your presence so much. Thank you.
I will admonish the audience, your mind and your heart are scalar energy vessels, and all of you are experts at scalar energy.
And so why not take advantage and experience what a congruent experience you can have that'll create a different worldview. You can't be depressed when you're feeling vital like this. There's a whole different way of being that'll make the new earth a possibility. So Tom, thank you so much. Really appreciate so much, and look forward to getting to talk to you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.